Your touch feels like home.
I never imagined such beauty.
Nor I, this harmony.
The forest had never been kind, but it had always been honest. Rowan preferred it that way. The trees did not lie. The wind did not betray. Hunger came when it came, and survival depended on skill, not politics. After the collapse after cities burned and the sky cracked open with streaks of foreign light, Rowan had chosen the wilderness over whatever was left of civilization. He lived alone in a small cabin near the edge of the northern ridge, surviving on traps, river water, and stubbornness. The alien ships had come 2 years ago. Some hovered, some crashed, some simply vanished after tearing open the sky. Most people feared them, some worshipped them, a few hunted them. Rowan avoided them, until the day one of his traps screamed. It wasn't supposed to make that sound. Rowan was halfway through, repairing a fishing net when he heard the metallic snap echo through the trees, followed by a sharp, piercing cry, high-pitched and trembling. Not a deer, not a wolf, not anything he recognized. He grabbed his rifle and moved. The trap lay about 200 yards from his cabin, hidden beneath leaves and brush. It was a standard snare strong enough to catch a stag, designed to tighten around the leg without killing the animal. But what hung from it now was no stag. She was small, too small. Her skin shimmered faintly in hues of silver blue, like moonlight, over water. Lars' luminous eyes stared at him through strands of dark, iridescent hair. Her body trembled as the snare tightened around her ankle, lifting her just slightly off the forest floor. She looked fragile and terrified. Rowan froze. The stories were real then. Aliens weren't just distant lights in the sky. They bled. They got caught in traps. The girl let out a soft, panicked sound when she saw him step closer. Her eyes widened further, glowing brighter. She wrapped her thin arms around herself as if bracing for impact. She spoke. The words were sharp and melodic, nothing like human speech. But the tone needed no translation. Fear. She thought he was a predator. Rowan slowly set his rifle down. Easy, he said gently, raising his hands. I'm not going to hurt you. She flinched. At the sound of his voice, her gaze flicked to his teeth, then to the knife at his belt. Her breathing grew frantic. Rowan understood. To her he must look like a monster, large, armed, primitive. A hunter who had just caught something small. He moved carefully, speaking in a low voice. It's just a trap. For deer, not you. She didn't understand the words, but she watched his movements closely. He approached the snare and examined it. The rope had tightened around her ankle, but it hadn't broken skin. That was good. He crouched slowly, making sure every motion was deliberate. She whimpered when he reached for her. I have to cut it, he murmured. Her body went rigid. She squeezed her eyes shut. Rowan hesitated. Then he pulled the knife. Her breath hitched. He saw it, then what she believed. She thought he was about to kill her. Or worse, the stories must have gone both ways. Humans feared alien invasions. Maybe aliens feared human savagery. Rowan carefully slid the blade between rope and skin. He caught. The snare snapped loose. She fell forward and he caught her. She gasped at the contact, her hands pressing against his chest as if ready to shove him away. But he didn't grip her tightly. He simply steadied her and then stepped back, giving her space. You're free, he said softly. She didn't move. She stared at him, then at her ankle, then at the broken rope on the ground. Slowly, uncertainly, she took a step backward. He didn't follow. Another step. Still, he didn't move. The forest wind rustled between them. After a long moment, she spoke again, quieter this time, questioning. Rohan shook his head gently. I don't understand. She studied him. Then, cautiously, she touched her own chest. Elira, she said. Rowan blinked. He touched his chest in return. Rowan, her glowing eyes flickered slightly. She repeated, One. He nodded. A fragile bridge formed in the silence, but it shattered as quickly as it came. A distant sound echoed through the trees, mechanical, rhythmic. Heavy Illyra stiffened. Instantly, her expression transformed from fear to pure dread. She turned toward the sound and let out a soft, distressed cry. Rowan followed her gaze. Through the trees, something moved. Metal, 3 figures, emerged. Tall, armored shapes with elongated limbs and scanning lights sweeping the forest floor. Rowan's stomach dropped. He'd heard about these. Collectors. Not all alien species were peaceful. Some hunted their own. Some harvested. Some enslaved. Illyra scrambled backward, pressing herself against a tree trunk. The armored figures scanned the area methodically, looking for her. Rowan made a decision. He grabbed her wrist gently. Come on. She resisted at first, pulling back, eyes wide. No time, he whispered urgently. The machines were getting closer. He pointed toward his cabin, then to himself. Then to her shelter. She hesitated. The nearest armored figure emitted a sharp pulse of light. Elira flinched violently. That decided it. She ran with him. They moved quickly through the underbrush. Rohan kept his rifle in one hand and guided her with the other. She stumbled once, unused to the terrain, but he steadied her without slowing. The cabin came into view. Rowan ushered her inside and barred the door. The cabin was small, just one room, a loft, a stove, and a workbench. Illyra spun in place, taking it all in, breathing fast. Rowan extinguished the lantern and motioned for silence. They waited. Heavy mechanical footsteps passed outside. A scanning beam swept across the window. Illyra trembled beside him. Without thinking, Rowan placed himself between her and the door. The beam lingered, then moved on. The footsteps faded. Minutes passed. Neither moved. Finally, Rowan exhaled slowly. They're gone. Illyra didn't understand the words. But she understood the shift in his posture. The danger had passed. For now, she looked up at him really. Looked at him. He hadn't turned her in. Hadn't tied her up. Hadn't eaten her. Instead, he had risked himself. Slowly, cautiously, she stepped closer. She reached out and placed her glowing hand lightly against his arm. A faint warmth spread through his skin at the contact, not painful, just strange. Her eyes met his. Gratitude. Rowan nodded once. You can stay, he said quietly. Over the next few days, they built a fragile understanding. Illyra learned quickly. She mimicked his words, pointing at objects while he named them. Water, fire, food. She flinched less around the knife, less around him. She told him through gestures and broken language that her ship had crashed, that the armored hunters were part of a faction that considered her kind resources. Rowan didn't need perfect translation to understand that word. One evening, as the sun dipped low, she asked a question in halting English. Why, not eat? Rohan nearly choked on his water. Eat you? She nodded solemnly. He stared at her, then laughed softly, not mocking, just surprised. I don't eat people. She tilted her head. Even alien? Especially alien? He replied. She considered that. Then something like a smile touched her face for the first time. Days turned into weeks. The hunters returned twice, but Rowan had prepared better hiding places. Illyra learned to mask her energy signature somehow, dimming the faint glow of her skin. Trust grew in small, quiet ways. One night she sat across from him by the fire and spoke more clearly than ever before. Humans' stories say, Cruel Elhun. Anything different? Rohan poked at the fire thoughtfully. Some do, he admitted, but not all. She studied him carefully. Rohan not cruel. He shrugged. Rohan just a guy with bad luck and a broken trap. Her soft laughter filled the cabin. It was a beautiful sound. Spring came slowly to the northern ridge. One morning, Illyra stood by the doorway, looking at the sky. A faint shimmer appeared, high above, different from the collector ships. Sleeker, graceful. Her people. She turned to him home. Rowan nodded, though something tightened in his chest. You should go. She stepped closer. For a moment, she hesitated. Then she wrapped her arms around him in a brief, warm embrace. Not meal, she said softly. He smiled. Not meal. She stepped back, eyes glowing gently. Friend, Rowan nodded. Friend. Moments later, she was gone in a beam of soft light toward the waiting ship. The forest returned to silence. Rowan stood there for a long time. Then he walked to the old snare and dismantled it completely. He never set another trap in that clearing again. Somewhere beyond the stars, an alien girl told a different kind of story about humans. And in a quiet cabin on the northern ridge, a man who once lived alone no longer felt quite so solitary beneath the vast, uncertain sky.